know Joshua, and I'm satisfied. Oh, we learn to believe him. He's the only righteous man. I try to do the best I can. He is the teacher. The truth is in the Son. We can't leave it all behind. This kernel is.
We got some wisdom.
We got Yahshua's wisdom.
We got the truth.
Yahshua is
We
the
got
truth.
some beauty.
He's got plenty of beauty.
We got the
He
proof.
gives all kinds of proof now.
In the meantime,
All that means right now.
he's inside.
That means right now. The Holy Spirit is inside.
Now I know Yahshua,
Now I know Yahshua.
and I'm satisfied.
All right, let's sing. Yahweh is the reason
Oh, he's the reason
that we were born.
that I was
Yahshua
born.
is the answer.
Oh, he's the answer.
All been looking for.
Yeah, I was looking.
All the others, they stood around and lied.
Oh, they lied, they lied, they lied.
But now we know Yahshua.
Oh, I know Yahshua.
Satisfied.
Yeah, I'm so satisfied.
Sing the choir.
We got some wisdom.
We got Yahshua's
We
wisdom.
got the truth.
Joshua is the.
We got some beauty.
He got plenty of beauty.
We got the
All
proof.
kinds of proof.
And in the meantime,
That means right now.
he's
That means right
inside.
now. The Holy Spirit tabernacles inside.
Now I know Yahshua,
Now we know Yahshua.
and I'm satisfied.
Thank you, Yahshua. You made us satisfied.
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you, choir. Our first speaker for today will be Dr. Deborah Laraway.
Morning, class. It's great to be back to class again after my little excursion out in California. Went out to Ontario. That was a pretty good class. I liked it. Very good. So let's go to the scripture reading for today. Start the first verse. Because what we got to understand, we do talk a lot about Moses, everything down here and everything that happened. They come up in the wilderness, but we need to start up at Joseph here, because Yahweh's going to tell what's going to happen here. They got to come down here to Egypt. But before that, Joseph has kids, and what happens to the young, or Abraham. Abraham. See, got to learn. Abraham. I don't want Joseph's on my mind. So let's start there anyway.
Genesis 15:1.
Mm-hmm.
After these things, the word of Yahweh came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceedingly great reward. And Abram said, Yahweh Elohim, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? And the heir of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus. And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and no one born in my house is mine heir.
So Abraham, his wife was Sarah, right? Sarah. So she's barren all these years, and he has no heir. He did have Ishmael by Hagar, his handmaid. And So he's saying that Ishmael really is his thing, but then Yahweh's going to say, go ahead.
And behold, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own loins shall be thine heir.
So Abram, and it's saying Abram, he later on gets Abraham, but Abram Yahweh's telling him that he's going to have a seed out of his own loins, and he'll be heir, which eventually be Isaac. But go ahead.
And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, and count the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
Okay, so see, he's saying, look into the heavens, and we can look at all our stars. We can't count them all. That's what the population is coming through him. Everything's coming through Abraham. And hop over now to, I think it's the 17th verse. Hop over there.
And it came to pass, when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
It's where he's talking about where Abraham and Sarah's laughing that they're going to have a child. I think it's, I thought it was 7.
That's 16th chapter.
Next chapter. But I was there.
I'll start at 1. Genesis 17 and 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahweh appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Elohim, I am Yahweh Elohim. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
So he's 99 years old. That's old for us.
And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee.
Okay, so that's what he's saying. Go ahead.
And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make the nations of thee and kings of thee. You want me to continue that way?
It's
19. And Yahweh said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac.
Then go up a little more. I think because it's good.
Right.
Is that where it's at? Because they both laughing, saying it's not going to, and they're old. They're not going to have a baby in their old age.
18, started at 11. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age. It ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord being old also?
See, so, Yahweh will do what he pleases to do. And his whole purpose and plan, she was barren all these years, and now all his purpose and plan is coming in force. And he's going to start here with Joseph and Sarah, and now we're going to have Isaac, and that's where the 12 tribes come from, and everything starts going. I mean, things happened before then, but this is an interesting part, that we don't hardly ever preach on. At least I don't. So it's a good thing for me to go over again. But go ahead.
14th verse. 13th verse. And Yahweh said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for Yahweh?
Nope.
At the time appointed I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them.
Okay, now go over, I think it's the 37th chapter, where Joseph has the 12 kids were, who is it? It is Joseph, okay, has his 12 kids where they got the one that has the coat of Jacob. That's what it is, okay. Well, see, you always make me go over this. Go ahead, 37.
Genesis 37. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a sojourner in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him.
So they're jealous because they felt he loved him more. Okay, so Joseph had this coat of many colors, and now here's what Jacob has him do.
And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we are binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it to his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brothers envied him, but his father observed the saying.
See, because what was happening, Joseph's having a dream. Yahweh's giving these dreams because when Joseph gets down here in the land of Egypt, when there's a great famine, his father and his mother and his brothers are going to have to come down and get food from him and bow to him. It's that far ahead. That's kind of, I just think that's just such an interesting story. So go to where his father sends him out to find his brothers that had their sheep in the field.
What? 12. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks.
Yeah, so he's out there looking. He kind of got lost, and then this guy's telling him where he is, and then he's going to tell him he's out. He's going to tell him this.
And the man said, They are departed from here, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
Here they are going to kill their little brother because they're so jealous of him, and they're planning on it before he even gets to him.
And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
But then there's the one brother, it's going to say in here, he says, No, let's not do that.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
So that's what they did. They threw him in this pit, and now they're going to sell him. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. and his brethren were content.
Yep, so that's what they did is they sold the Ishmaelites and they brought them down here in the land of Egypt. Let's go to the part where for some reason Joseph got thrown into the dungeons.
In Potiphar's house? Okay.
39th chapter. Do you want it before that or just?
Just a little before, yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
starting at 14, I'll just say it. Well, 13. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice.
And see what it was, that girl, I can't remember what her name was, she was trying to have him lay with her, and he
Potiphar's wife.
refused.
Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife.
Potiphar's wife tried to have her lay with her, and he refused. And then he left his coat, and she's saying, "See, he lay with me." So then he got thrown into prison. And see, then here in prison, there's a baker
And a butler.
and a butcher,
Butler.
butler. And the one had a dream that they were telling dreams and stuff. Let's go ahead and might as well get that.
You want the dream of the baker and the butler?
The dreams when they're in the
Starting at the 40th chapter.
Yeah.
And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their master, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and the chief of the bakers. And he put them in the ward in the house of the captain of the guard unto the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in the ward. 5th verse. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to Yahweh? Tell me them, I pray you.
And see, Yahweh's giving him dreams up there in the land of Canaan about how his mother and father are going to come down and the brother's going to bow to him. Now he has and it's not him that's interpreting Joseph. It's Yahweh who gives the interpretations so he can understand, so they can understand. Yahweh's doing all for a purpose and plan because he's going to deliver the people out of Egypt, but it's just so good. Go ahead.
9th verse. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches. And it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them to Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup unto Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that should put me into the dungeon.
So then so now that he interpreted for the butler, he's saying, when you get out, don't forget about me. Okay, go ahead with the butcher. I think he's ended up what his
16th
was.
verse. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee.
Terror would die, but that's the way it is. So then you're going to come down here to get to the point where the Pharaoh had his dreams. This ain't the Pharaoh that was the Pharaoh down here in Egypt that when the Israelites were in bondage. That's not the same Pharaoh. This is a Pharaoh before him. Go ahead.
Genesis 41, starting at 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine, and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow.
So they're fat cows. Go ahead.
And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river.
So they're skinny cows. Go ahead.
And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine.
So now these skinny old cows are eating up the fat cows. It's showing a plague's coming. Go ahead.
So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full.
And see, those ears of corn, probably the 7 thin ones, didn't have no corn on them. And the other fat, nice, fat, juicy ones, you can put butter, salt, and pepper on and eat them. So, but yet them skinny ones eat and take care of it. It's just showing that, I'll show you when we get going. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt.
So now he's calling, here's the Pharaoh, because they believe they got James Jambres, and they got all their magicians and all the people who can do all these things, but go ahead.
And all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh.
See, they couldn't interpret it. It's because here it comes. Now Joseph is going to be able to do so. Go ahead.
Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my fault this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief butler. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was with me. He restored unto mine house, and him he hanged.
Okay, so he's letting the Pharaoh know, so now here's what's going to happen.
Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon.
Now they had to clean him up, though. They had to let him shave and give him clean clothes and stuff, because they're in rags down there by that time. So go ahead.
15th verse. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. Yahweh Elohim shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt, for badness.
And see, there's 7, so the 7 are going to be for years, but go ahead.
And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke.
Okay, so see, because what's happening, he's going to tell what it is, but when you have if the famine's coming, they're going to have these 7 good years, and they're going to eat up more than what they're supposed to, probably be all gone, and the 7 years famine probably would destroy everybody, but this is what's going to happen, what Yahweh's purpose is. Go ahead.
Dropping down to 25.
Yep.
And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh's is one. Yahweh Elohim has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh, what Yahweh is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh.
And see, he says of one. See, Yahweh is one. Yahweh Elohim Yahshua, one. That one's in there for a purpose. Go ahead.
Behold, there come up 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenties shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous.
Yep, so he's telling what's going to happen. Just like I said, they're going to eat good and don't know there's a famine coming. But here's what Yahweh has in plan. Go ahead.
32nd verse. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by Yahweh Elohim, and Yahweh Elohim will surely bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years.
So he's looking for a man he's going to put oversee that this food is collected for the 7 years, a 5th every year, in order to get through the other 7 years of famine. Go ahead.
And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the spirit of Elohim is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as Elohim hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house. According unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thee.
Yep, so he's going to control everything. So everybody wants, any of the Egyptians want their food, they're going to have to come to him. Everybody's going to have to buy from Joseph. Hop over down, it should be to the place to where it shows the famine started and everybody came and bought. But see, now their money's gone. And they're forced. It'd be to the point where the first time the brothers came down to get food.
42, chapter 42. Now when Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Get you down there and buy for us from there, that we may live and not die.
See, the famine ain't just in Egypt, it's the whole world. So even up here in Canaan land. Go ahead.
And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, Lest perhaps mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy grain among those that came.
Okay, Benjamin, he was after Joseph, and Israel didn't want Benjamin anything to happen to him as it did to Joseph. So just the other brothers went down to get grain.
For the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Yeah, see, here they are bowing, don't even know. Here's Joseph saying, there's that dream. But they don't recognize him. He probably has that, them Egyptians back then where all that makeup and all that stuff probably changed his whole looks. But go ahead.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spoke roughly unto them. And he said unto them, From where come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my master, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not.
Saying Joseph's gone, because they don't know. And I think they throw him in jail, don't they, for a day?
Yep. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spoke unto you, saying,
3
Ye are
days.
spies.
See, so actually he's kind of getting back at him for what they did, but not really. I mean, he's just proven, okay, now you guys this is what's going to happen to you, because I'm calling you a spy. And he knows better, but go ahead.
You went where they hold one hostage?
Yeah.
Okay, 21. And they said one to another, We are verily guilty, our brother, concerning our brother. and that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spoke I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear?
See, now they're kind of, now they're thinking, oh, look what we did. This fall upon us because of what happened we did to our brother, you know. But go ahead. I think they release him. Then he releases them. But there's.
I think I went down too far.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again and spoke with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph commanded so to fill their sacks with grain, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way. And thus did he unto them. And they loaded their asses with the grain, and departed from there. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass fodder, in the end he discovered his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that Elohim hath done unto us? And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the master of the land spoke roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We are 12 brethren, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan.
So, yeah, Joseph they keep Simeon, but they take the other brothers, give them all their money and everything back, and they come back and they're telling their father this, but they're having, what do I want to say, almost damnation on themselves, saying,
Guilt.
Oh, what have we done? Guilt. Yeah, that's what they got because of what they did. Oh, look, now Elohim's getting us for what we did, but then they're back up here again. But this is all Yahweh's plan to get Israel back down here in Egypt because, go.
And the man, the ruler of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me, then shall I know that ye are no spies, but that ye are true men. For so will I deliver you, your brother, and ye shall do business in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that, behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spoke unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again.
So where's the point where I need the point where actually Israel's coming down? And I think that's after that's gone, they got to come back down there again to get some food. They're to a point where they're forced because they run out of what they were given.
43 and 16.
Yeah, the father coming down. Yeah.
46, starting at 1. And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices. Is that okay? Unto Elohim of his father Isaac. Yahweh Elohim spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. Okay. And he said, I am Yahweh Elohim, the Elohim of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. And I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes.
So Yahweh's given Israel or Jacob a vision saying, don't fear to go down here, and I'm going to give you Joseph back. You'll see his eyes. Go ahead.
5th verse. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones, and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him. His sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. And these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt: Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben.
So there were 70 souls that came down here. Come to the point to where he meets Jacob meets Joseph.
That's back.
28. Let me see. No, that's not Joseph. Thir- 28. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. And Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet Israel his father to Goshen, and presented himself unto him. And he fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive.
Yep, so that's how everything started. And then later on, you got, I don't know what chapter it is, where there's a new Pharaoh that rose that knew not Joseph. And
That's Exodus 1. Exodus 1 and 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, who knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when war occurs, they join also into our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
see, so they get them out of the land, they're going to be in the land of Goshen. But see, they're multiplied and are more than how many the Egyptians were. So they felt that if they ever went to war, that they were going to side with the people that they were warring against. So now what they're going to do is put them into bondage. And this is what Yahweh had told Abram before. He's going to bring a seed down here in land of Egypt, and they'll be under bondage for so long, but then he's going to resurrect them and bring them back to Canaan land. So I guess with that, I'll say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Dr. Laraway. Our next speaker for today will be Dr. Susan Craig.
Well, good afternoon. Let's continue on where she was at and go to, let's start with Exodus. I think I need to make some comments first before I go there. Okay, so she had us in Canaan land with Abram receiving a vision, right? And the promise. And then she took us down to Egypt, where Abraham's son, Joseph, would eventually wind up. She just took us there. And then she ended with the fact that they were down here now from the time of the vision, they were down here for some 400 years. And that Yahweh would bring them up out of that land, because he made a promise to Abraham that he would give them a land full of milk and honey, correct? Okay, so she took us down, and now she's ended with that that Yahweh would bring them up out of Egypt and give them an inheritance in Canaan land. Now, excuse me, little sleep last night, maybe 3 hours, so I'm trying to organize it. Okay, so now, if you go to Exodus, let's go to Exodus, the first chapter. Because now, when they went down, those 70 souls went down into Egypt, and they were not under a burden, or they were not under a burden of Egypt. As a matter of fact, the Egyptians, that Pharaoh favored those 70 that went down, the 70 souls that came out of Canaan land down here to Joseph. They were favored, and they were given the best land in Egypt at the time, the land of Goshen. So they were well favored, okay? Now, what happens through the time that they're down there, like she said, they would begin to multiply. And as they began to multiply, which is what Yahweh said, I will multiply your seed as the sands of the sea and as the stars of the heavens. Can you count them? So they were definitely going to multiply down in Egypt. Now, so they do, and they become great and mighty in their numbers, and that is a threat to Pharaoh and his host and the Egyptians, because there's more of them than there are of the Egyptians, and so they're a threat to them. And so now what they do is they put them under bondage. Okay, now basically that's what is going on with your soul right now as we sit here. Your soul, before you come in here and receive a knowledge and understanding of your Creator, and Yahshua gives you His Spirit, you're in bondage, and this is ecclesiastical bondage, all right, back here. Now, the children of Israel, and physical bondage. So they're given, they're now going to have to build these great treasure cities for Pharaoh. So in other words, they're in bondage to building up the satanic spirit. Okay, but Yahweh's promised that He's going to bring them out with a mighty hand. Okay, now, so let's go to Exodus, the first chapter, and we'll just read it.
First chapter. Now these are the names of the children of Israel who came out into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob.
Okay, now I'm going to have her skip through that and just name the tribes right here. So the tribes that came out were Reuben, Simeon,
Levi and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun,
and Benjamin, Dan,
and Naphtali,
Gad,
and Asher. And all these souls came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already.
Okay, so these 12 tribes came from Canaan land down into Egypt. And what's going to happen, because I just want to point this out really quickly, that those 12 tribes are going to be signified on, I need a picture, on the garments of beauty and glory of the high priest. In other words, they're going to be shown on the breastplate, those 12 tribes. They're also going to be signified by the 2 stones that are on the shoulders. Because what you've got is you've got the 12 tribes that come out, all right? But then when you name the 12 that encamped around this tabernacle, you now have Manasseh and Ephraim, which is really the tribe of Joseph with his double portion that Yahweh gave Joseph. So now you're going to have those 12 tribes symbolized also. You understand what I'm saying, and the names that have the name, okay? So now these 12 tribes are down here in Egypt, and they're going to multiply. Now go ahead and read.
And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of
because
Israel
Joseph died, okay, and his sons inherited, okay, Ephraim and Manasseh. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and became exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with him. Now, with them. Now there arose...
Sort of like what Trump is saying, poisoning the blood of America. Because they're migrants.
Right. Now
just overturning and overturning.
That's right.
Really, truly, it's overturning and overturning. Go ahead.
Now there arose a new king over Egypt who knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply.
He's afraid. This Pharaoh is afraid. He doesn't know anything about Joseph. Generations have passed and nobody recalls, okay? the Civil War. Go ahead. I'm just
it-
using things that are happening in the news to explain, things that are happening. Go ahead.
And it come to pass that when war occurs, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
This is always interesting. The more they were afflicted, the more they multiplied and grew. So they were going home tired at night, and they were multiplying. Go ahead, think about it.
And
Go ahead.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was
So now
Shiphrah.
this isn't working. They're serving with rigor. They're under this bondage. This is a hardship for them, but that's not enough for Pharaoh. Pharaoh says, "Now look, that's not making them diminish. This is what we'll do. Go ahead."
And the name of the other Puah.
So he had Shiphrah and Puah, who were midwives that attended to the Hebrew women, who are very strong. Obviously, they're not diminishing, so they're very strong. So watch what Pharaoh thinks. Well, this is what we'll do. Go ahead.
And he said, when ye do the service, the office of a midwife.
Now, when you go to serve these women for a midwife, and by the way, a midwife is totally different than a doctor that you have nowadays, okay? As a matter of fact, you had midwives long before you had a doctor deliver a baby. Go ahead.
of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools.
Now, they were on their stools. They're not laying down in their beds with their legs lifted up. This is what really makes birthing for women in this modern day time much harder for them. So this is where they're on their birthing stools, okay, which is a plus probably for them because they're not out in the field and just squatting, because that is what the Native Americans would do, is they would just go off out into the field and they would deliver their babies out there. It's much easier to do it that way too. You've got the gravity, right? Go ahead.
If it be a son, then ye
Now,
shall...
when that child comes forth, now look at these women are delivering these babies, but they're delivering them very fast. Why? Because they're in good shape. They're in excellent condition because they're under hard bondage. They are growing in strength because of what he's doing to them. They're not dying and falling apart. Okay, go ahead.
If it be a son, then ye shall kill him.
Now, if they have a son, you're going to kill that son because we don't want any boy babies to be raised up to become soldiers eventually in an army that's going to overtake our country. Go ahead.
But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
You can save the girls because we'll know what we'll want to do with the girls. Go ahead.
But the midwives feared Elohim and did not as the king of
Because
Egypt
these are Hebrew women. They fear Yahweh. Go ahead.
did as the king did.
And they didn't do it.
Did not as the king of
Right.
Egypt commanded them, but saved the male children alive.
They saved the male children.
And the king of
And the
Egypt,
king knows we got some boy babies around here. Go ahead.
and the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, Why have ye done this thing and have saved the male children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively.
They're not as the Egyptian women that we have a doctor go in and lift their legs up and put them in stirrups. These women just can squat down and have a baby immediately. They've had their babies way too fast. We can't kill them fast enough. Because, the point is that they're not going to kill these babies if there's a lot of... Go ahead. I'm not going to go into that. Go ahead.
And I delivered before the midwives come in unto them.
Right. They're already delivered. They didn't even need the midwife.
Therefore
Right.
Elohim dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and became mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he gave them families. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall
So
save
he says to
alive.
the Egyptians, now, when you see these Hebrew women with their male babies, you cast them into the river. And I once told a story about years and years ago, when China had the one child policy, that they would take their female babies and throw them in the rivers in China, and that it was not unusual for people who were walking along to see a baby floating down the river, a river in China, because this, if you can imagine it, or you can see that, then you can see that in Egypt, that's what they were told to do. Take these babies and toss them into the river. They're not going to survive. Okay, go ahead.
Second chapter.
Uh-huh.
And there went a man of the house of Levi and took wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son.
Now this is during this death decree, thank you. During this death decree that now she has a child. Okay, this woman Jochebed. Go ahead.
And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months.
Okay, so now she has given birth to a boy baby during this death decree. Okay, now what is she going to do with him? Because there's a law. Go ahead.
And when she could no longer hide him, she took him an ark of bulrush and daubed it with slime
So
and
what
with
she
pitch.
does is she takes an ark of bulrush, and you can kind of look at this, the ark here, right here, and imagine that she took a little basket, an ark, right? And she daubed it with pitch and with slime, which is going to make it waterproof. Go ahead.
And put the child therein.
And she put the baby in the...
And she laid it in the flags by the river's
And she
brink.
laid it in the flags by the river Nile. I know everyone has probably seen the Ten Commandments. She did not put the baby on the river, and it's going down the river through the rapids, and it's not like that. In the flags, it's just going to sit there. It's just going to kind of be there. Go ahead.
And his sister stood afar off to find out what would be
And
done to
his
him.
sister Miriam is also watching to see what's going to happen to him. Now you have to think about this. This is not that some outside family of the house of Pharaoh. If you just use your noggin and picture these things in your heart and in your mind, you will see that this family was part of the Pharaoh's family. They were definitely some kind of servants within that family, because they're able to be that close to what's about to happen. There's no way that, think about it. How close can you get to the president? Really, So this is Pharaoh and Pharaoh's daughter, right? Go ahead.
5th verse. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself
Now,
at the river.
Pharaoh's daughter comes down to wash herself at the river. Why is she coming down to wash herself at the river? Doesn't she have a really nice hot tub up by the palace? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't she have somewhere to clean herself with fresh water, not the river? Okay, so she's going to the river for what? For ablutions. She's going down there to be fertilized, or to worship the god of the Nile, or of that river. And so she's going down there in hopes of something that she does not have. Right, a baby. Go ahead.
And her maidens walked along by the river's
And the
side.
maidens are twittering along the side with her, while she's doing what she's doing.
And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it.
Now she sees the ark among the flags of the river Nile, and she sends one of the maids out there to get that, whatever that is.
And
Now, they have been told to cast babies into the river, the Egyptians, right? And she's aware that they've been told to cast babies into the river, this Pharaoh's daughter. So when she goes down there and she sees this ark, she knows there's something in there that she wants, because that's where all these babies have been sent, is to the river. Go ahead.
And when she opened it, she saw the child.
She doesn't say she saw a baby. It says she saw the child. Go ahead.
And behold, the boy wept.
And
And she had compassion on him.
And she had compassion on him, because she's been told too that she's supposed to kill every male baby. She's not going to do that. This is her big chance to have the baby that she wants. Go ahead.
And said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children."
And she knows that the Hebrew child is not dressed in a little Hebrew blanket like they have in the Ten Commandments. It's not. There's no blanket. And I'm going to say something else too. It's very likely that he's been circumcised, but she's not identifying him by the fact that he's circumcised, because they were circumcising themselves in Egypt at that time. She's identifying the fact that they've been told to get rid of their male babies. This is a baby a year under. This is a Hebrew baby. No Egyptian woman put the baby in the river. This is a Hebrew child. She knows that. Just makes sense. Go ahead.
7th verse. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse
Now here
of the
she
Hebrew
comes. Here
women?
comes Miriam up to Pharaoh's daughter. Who is she to come up to Pharaoh's daughter and say, shall I go and get you a nursemaid? Pharaoh's daughter knows this little person. I say little because I don't know about how old she is. She's a few years older than Moses. She's 6. Is that what you said? She's 6 years old? Okay, she's probably around 6 years old. She goes up and she says, because you have to know, well, you've got, let's not just say that. You're going to have to do some figuring in Exodus, because his older brother Aaron is 2 years older than he is, and he was not under the death decree. So Miriam is more likely older than Aaron. Right. Anyway, so she says, shall I go and fetch a woman to nurse the child for thee? Because after all, Miss Pharaoh's daughter, you don't have any milk to feed this child. So it's kind of, things are just kind of coming together. This is the way Yahweh works. This is his purpose, his pattern, and his plan. It's not some woo-woo thing. He is definitely pointing out himself all the time by a purpose, a pattern, and a plan that's simple for us to understand, not something for us to guess or wrestle with. Exactly. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother.
Okay, so now Jochebed is going to be able to, is that her name in there? Jochebed? She's going to be able to nurse her own child. And what Pharaoh's daughter is going to do is pay her wages to do it. See, Yahweh takes care of you. He not only takes you up out of it, but he lifts you up and resurrects you and gives you gifts, okay, that are far beyond. See, she got paid? Go ahead.
And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I'll give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter.
Okay, now he became to the point where he was weaned. He didn't need his mother anymore. And Pharaoh's daughter wants this child to be raised in her household. Go ahead.
And he became
Which, by the
her
way,
as-
he is being raised in her household. He's being nursed by his mother, who is in the household. Go ahead.
And he became to her as a son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, Because I drew him out of the water.
So she called his name Moses because she drew him out of the water. That's what the word, is it Moshe? Moshe? To be drawn out. Go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto
Now
his...
we skip. Now, remember, the Exodus is the product of Moses' vision that he had in the mount, and so therefore he has now he is seeing when he's up in the mount. When he went up into the mount, I'm skipping way ahead. When he went into the mount and he saw the divine vision and revelation, and he saw this book of Exodus that he's writing, he's seeing his own life flash before his eyes. And so he's writing about his own life. Now what he's done is he's skipped some 40 years, because he says now when he was grown and he went out among his brethren. 40 years later, go ahead, because you don't get anything in between the time. You know the movie Prince of Egypt, which I never saw. I never saw it, but I'm guessing that they have what Moses was doing in the household of Pharaoh for the times before he went out among his brethren. But it's not written in the Bible. And that's the book. That's your reference book. So 40 years later, he goes out. Go ahead.
And Moses, or 3:1?
I want the part where he goes out among his brethren.
Oh, 2 and 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren.
See, he knows he knows his brethren.
And looked
He
on
knows
their
he's a
burdens.
Hebrew. He's not I'm an Egyptian. I'm a Hebrew. I don't know what I am. Okay, you understand? He went out among his brethren. Go ahead.
And looked on their burdens. And he observed an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren.
So now he sees an Egyptian smiting one of his brethren. That's what he does. He doesn't say his Egyptian brethren smiting his Hebrew brethren. He says an Egyptian smiting his Hebrew brethren. Smiting means trying to kill. Go ahead.
And he looked this way and that way,
Mm-hmm.
and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
Now you got to ask yourself, who is that brethren that he's going to slay, or who is that that he's going to save? It's got to be his. It's got to be his brother Aaron, and and you're going to watch how Yahweh shows you that it is his brother Aaron that he's saving. Go ahead.
And when he went out the
So he looked this way and that way, and he killed the Egyptian, and he buried him in the sand. But that Egyptian's somebody very important, because you don't just slay an Egyptian and bury him in the sand. Even if you are the prince of Egypt, you still are going to have to pay the piper. Go ahead.
And when he went out the second day, behold,
So then he went out the second day, because, he just saved. I'm telling you, that's Aaron. Go ahead.
2 men of the Hebrews strove together.
Okay.
And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow?
Okay, so now Aaron is out there. Aaron's a troublemaker. Let's face it. He gets himself into situations. This is Aaron fighting with one of his Hebrew brother, another Hebrew. This is Aaron having, and this is why you know it's Aaron. He says, go ahead. He says, wherefore what?
Smitest thou thy fellow?
Okay,
he
and so
said-
Moses says, well, why are you smiting your brother? Go ahead.
And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us?
I'm jealous. My name is Aaron. I'm jealous of you, Moses. Who made you a prince and a judge? Go ahead.
Intendest
Because
thou,
that's how siblings are. Excuse me. Go ahead.
intendest thou to kill me as thou didst kill the
Do you remember
Egyptian?
that Moses looked this way and that way the day before and he didn't see any man? But there still was a man standing there that he had just saved. And so now this one says, are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian yesterday? Now, wait a minute. Really, Aaron, you're going to go that far? Yep. Brother against brother. Go ahead.
And Moses feared and said, Surely this thing is known.
Okay, now we know that eventually we go down the road a few months, and you're going to find out that Moses tells Yahweh that he's not eloquent of speech. And he says, don't worry, I'll give you your brother Aaron. So Aaron's mouthy. Aaron can speak, he's mouthy. And Moses knows right now that Aaron's going to go tell on him. That's all it is, because Aaron is eloquent of speech and Moses is not. So keep going.
But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian.
So he leaves. He doesn't get taken out there by Pharaoh. He's like, no, I got to get out of here now. This is like instantaneous. This is not, don't go back up on the rooftop and get your clothes. When Yahweh says, go. Okay, go ahead.
And he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters.
So he goes out into the land of Midian, and he sits down by a well. Now, it wasn't an easy journey for him to go out there, so he's probably in search of water all the time while he's on his journey. And so he gets out here and he's by a well. Okay, go ahead.
And they came and drew water and filled the troughs.
Okay, so the priest of Midian's daughters are drawing water from a trough, from a well, okay? An oasis, okay? So they're out there. Now, you have to know this about these times. When you would have a land, you would it would be your own well. You would own that well. It would have been Ruel's well. Okay, it would have been where he brought his sheep, because this is where his well. Doesn't mean that he didn't share that well, but Jacob had a well, if you read in the Bible. So this is their well. They're going to go here and they're going to try to water their sheep. Go ahead.
And now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flocks.
So they took the water out of the well and filled the troughs so that they can feed the sheep, or water the sheep. Go ahead.
And the shepherds came and drove them away.
So now some shepherds came and they drive them away because they don't take advantage of it. 7 women, these are not all. I don't know that these shepherds that came were all men, but go ahead.
But Moses stood up and helped them.
Now Moses sees what's going on and he helps them. He's just, wait a minute. These girls were here first. They filled their troughs. Their sheep come first, right? Watch. Moses, in a second instance in particular, is now becoming a mediator. He was a mediator back here in Egypt. He comes out here to the well, and now he's a mediator. And Moses really is showing how that Yahshua is going to be our mediator. He is going to be the mediator. Moses is we're just seeing types and shadows of Moses as we go along. Go ahead.
And watered their flock. And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today?
Right.
And they said, an Egyptian delivered us
Because
out of the
they
hands
identified him by his clothes.
of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man?
Well, we left him outside because he's an Egyptian. We're not sure if we should bring him in. Go ahead.
Call him that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah.
Okay, so now what happens is Moses now is accepted into the family, and Jethro gives him a daughter as a wife, and Moses is content to live out here in the land of Midian for 40 years. Now we skip a whole bunch. Now let's go to, where are you right now?
23.
Let's go to 3 and 1 then. Okay, so now he's been out here for 40 years tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro. Now, Reuel means friend of El. Okay, now he's tending the flock of his father-in-law. Remember, Moses is just a type and a shadow. You know, this is the point. I know this is simple, but it's got to be simple to understand anything about Yahweh. We just have to be able to see and understand the simple, rudimentary things about this teaching and go back to them, you know. So now, these sheep represent the sheep of Yahshua.
That's right.
And Yahshua tends his father's sheep. You are the sheep of Yahshua. And Yahshua tends his sheep. And it says his father-in-law back here. But Yahweh is Yahshua's father-in-law.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
That's right.
Exodus 3 and 1. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert.
Now he's just meandering out there and taking care of the sheep every day. He's going about to do his job. He's going about to live his life. Okay, go ahead.
And came to the mountain of Elohim, even to Horeb.
Now he comes to the mountain of Elohim, Mount Sinai. Go ahead.
And the angel Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of
Now
fire.
this wasn't just something like, okay, the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him. He's out here taking care of his sheep, and he comes to a burning bush. Did you skip that part?
Not yet, I ain't got to it.
Okay.
We're going there.
And the angel Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush.
Now Yahweh appears to him out of a flame of fire. Let's say he just walks up and he sees a bush burning, but it's not being consumed. Go ahead.
And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire,
Right,
and
that's
the bush
what
was
I want.
not consumed.
Right. So now he looks and he sees that there's a bush burning and it's not being consumed, and there's an angel in that. This is a vision.
That's right.
We all have vision every day. We have vision. If you have your sight, you have vision every day. Go ahead.
And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great
Now
sight.
it says right here, he now turn aside to see this great sight. If
Why
you
the-
are looking at this carnally, you're looking at it like, here's the burning bush, and he said, I will now turn aside to see this great sight. And with your carnal mind, you think, I will now turn aside to see this great sight. He can't turn aside his whole physical body or his mind. What he has to do is just turn aside his thoughts, his theories, his opinions, and his imaginations. And that spells T-O-I or sometimes Y. Your toys, your theories, your opinions, your imaginations of what you think it is or what is being told to you, your own theories and opinions don't matter a lick to Yahweh. So you're going to have to turn aside. Go ahead.
And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great
And
sight.
this is a great sight to him to see something, this vision. Go ahead.
Why the bush does not burn. And when Yahweh saw that he
Now
turned aside to see.
Yahweh, it says that when Yahweh saw, now we in order to understand this, I'm going to have you read it from the King James Version just for a minute, because I want to point out that people do not understand, and this is the beginning of your understanding, how that Yahweh, Elohim, and Yahshua are one, a unity, and they are not in, this is one name, Yahweh, Yahshua. This is one name, not two names. Yahweh doesn't have two names. When Yahweh manifested himself in a physical body and walked the earth plane and saved the world, he called himself Yahshua. Yahweh is salvation, okay? So what we're doing right now is we're just going to begin to show you how Yahweh is a unity, okay? Go ahead. Now, when he
And
comes
when
to
the
that
Lord
burning
saw-
bush, in the King James Version, it says, when the Lord saw, it says that when the Lord saw, there we go, right there, Lord, go ahead.
That he turned aside to
That
see.
Moses turned aside, that he turned aside his theories, opinions, and imagination about what he's looking at. Yahweh's looking, see, he opened his heart. When you come in here, that's what you've got to do. Open your heart and your mind to this. Go ahead.
God called.
Now it says God called. So now we've got the Lord and that God called. Go ahead.
Unto him out of the midst of the bush,
Out of the midst
and
of the bush.
said, Moses, Moses.
Uh-huh.
And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither,
Mm-hmm.
put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground.
Now, what you've got in there, you've got the angel of the Lord, you've got God calling, and what else is it? The Lord saw. So now you've got three entities happening in here. You've got the angel of the Lord.
God called.
Who's the angel of the Lord? You've got God calling, and you've got the Lord saw. But now go back over and now let's read it out of the Holy Name Bible.
Exodus 3 and 4.
And that is not our Bible, and we did not make that Bible. That Bible came along right on time. Okay, go ahead.
And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to
Now,
see,
when Yahweh, remember, Yahweh, Elohim, and Yahshua are one. So when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see,
Elohim called unto him.
Yahweh Elohim, that's his divine title, Yahweh Elohim, called unto him
Out of the midst of the bush.
out of the midst of the bush
and said,
and said,
Moses, Moses.
Right.
And he said, Here am I.
uh-huh,
And he said, Draw not hither, nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place where thou standest is holy ground.
okay, now, right now they're fighting on that, over that holy ground over there in Egypt. That is not the holy ground. The holy ground is the presence of Yahweh. When he takes off his shoes, he bears his soul, okay? So he's taking off his shoes. Well, there's a picture of it over here too. Let's just use a chart. There you go. Moses, 80 years old, Ruel's flock, tending the flock, burning bush. Go ahead.
6. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of thy father, the Elohim of Abraham.
Now he's going to identify himself to Moses. He's going to tell him, I'm the Elohim. I am the Elohim, because, better go to Exodus real quick, 4 and 2, I think. Or is it 6 and 4? By my name, 6. 6 and 3, okay. Just real quick, go
6
ahead.
and 3. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty.
Now, until Yahweh reveals his name to Moses at the burning bush, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob do not know his name, Yahweh. He said, I appeared unto them by
as El Shaddai.
as El Shaddai. As El
As El
Shaddai.
Shaddai.
As El Shaddai, right?
But by my name Yahweh was I not known
He
to
says,
them.
but by my name Yahweh was I not known unto them. Now this is the whole reason we're out here. Now go back to
Exodus 3 and 6. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim.
I am the El Shaddai. Go
of thy
ahead.
father,
Of thy father.
of the Elohim of Abraham,
Abraham,
the Elohim of Isaac,
Isaac,
the Elohim of Jacob.
Jacob.
And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon
Okay, so now
Elohim.
you don't think that Moses isn't well versed in his fathers? He is by now, 80 years old. He knows who Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are. Go ahead.
8th verse. No, 7th verse. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt.
Now he says to them, I have surely seen the affliction of my people that are in the land of Egypt.
and
Because
have,
I'm up here on this mount, big giant cloud, and I've looked down there and I've seen their affliction. And the joy of understanding this teaching is that he was right down here with them. He saw their affliction. He knew their affliction. Go ahead.
and Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows.
He said, I've heard. I have a big megaphone here on my ear, and I've heard their cry. He heard their cry because he was right down here with them. Right here, you got this tent. You got a tent back here, and it was Aaron, Joshua, and Moses. Joshua's back here. This is Yahweh. Remember, we're not talking about God's little son. This is Yahweh himself. I know their burdens. Go ahead.
And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up
Now,
out
I
of
have
that
come
land.
down. I have not come down from the big cloud in the sky. I've come out of pure spirit and manifested. I've come down from pure spirit into super incorporeal form, into a physical body. I'm come down. Read.
To bring them up out of that land onto a good land.
To bring them up out of the land unto a good land. Not you, Moses. Me. Me. Yahweh Elohim. Read.
And a large unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
Okay.
Onto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites.
You don't have to read all that.
Okay.
Because we know that that's what's up there when they get up there. The Canaanites, the Hittites, and all the ites. Go ahead. Go ahead.
9th verse. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress
Okay,
them.
now he just told them. I've seen it. Okay, go ahead.
Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou may bringest forth my people,
Now-
the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
Joshua himself, this is a whole nother lecture, and I'm not going to go to that, but boy, it would be wonderful for somebody to go through that sometime about Joshua being down here and who he is. But Joshua is down here with the children of Israel in Egypt. And he says he's surely seen the affliction, okay? Now, what's going on is Moses has gone up into the mount, and he's receiving, well, he hasn't gone up in the mount yet. He's right here, and he is receiving a divine vision from Joshua, who is down here in Egypt. It's called astral projection. A-S-T-R-A-L, not astro, restro. It's astral projection. And he is projecting himself here into this burning bush and showing Moses who he is. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto Elohim, Who am I that I should go unto
Now
Pharaoh?
here's Moses. I'm not eloquent. Who am I to go on to Pharaoh? I can't do it. Of course, you know what? All of us have, well, I had it this morning when I got called. Oh, who am I to go up there and preach the gospel? Well, you know what? Yahshua is the tongue. He's the tongue of the ready writer, okay? He will speak what he wants to hear through you. Give him a chance. Back down. Pay attention. Let Yahshua do the speaking. Go ahead.
And that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt.
And I'm not going to be able to do that. How am I going to do that? I'm just a lowly shepherd. Go ahead.
And he said, Certainly I will be with thee.
And now he says, certainly I will be with thee. And he will be with you. Okay, go ahead.
And this shall be a token unto thee, and that I have sent thee, when thou hast brought forth the people of when thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve Elohim upon this mountain.
Okay, so now once you go down there, Moses, you're going to bring them up out of the land of Egypt, and they're going to serve me on this mount. Go ahead.
And Moses said,
It's all planned out. Purpose, pattern, and plan, all planned out. And you're going to think, well, there's a glitch there because something happened because they wound up staying in the wilderness. Go ahead. Go
And
ahead.
Moses said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The Elohim of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name?
Okay, this is the markedly big, giant change that's happening now in the earth plane is that man is going to receive the name of the Creator, which has never been known before. And this is how many years after Adam? 2,500 and what? But 2,520 years, right? After Adam. And Yahweh's going to give his name to a man. So he says, start it over.
And Moses said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children
Now, when
of
I
Israel,
go down there, because you know what? Down here, they've got a God for everything. And when there's a miracle done, a God is given the credit for it. So now you're telling me to go down there and get the children of Israel and bring them on out. What am I going to tell them? Read.
and shall say unto them, the Elohim of your fathers has sent
Okay,
me
now
unto you,
El Shaddai has said unto me, go ahead.
that they shall say, and they shall say to me, what is his name?
No, they're going to say, well, wait a minute. You're talking about a God that you just claimed to have had a vision from and told you to come down here and take us out. What's his name? We got a name for everything down here. Every single thing. Thousands of names for every God. Okay? Just like now, there's a name for everything that you can possibly worship. Go ahead.
What shall I say unto them? And Elohim said
And he's
unto
like,
Moses,
what do I say to them? And Yahweh says to him, read.
Aya Asher Aya. So
So Yahweh, Elohim, says to him, Aya Asher Aya. Right here. This is the explanation of who I am. Aya Asher Aya. I will be what I will to be. That's what he's telling him. In the King James Version it says, I am that I am. That sure does stultify him, doesn't it? It's like, wait a minute. I am that I am? I am what I am. Okay? But Yahweh's saying, I will be what I will to be. That's past, present, and future. He's all in all. Go ahead.
And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I will be has sent me unto you. And Elohim said moreover unto Moses, thus shalt
Now
thou...
he said, see, you got to go back and read that differently because he said, I will be what I will be. Okay, then he says what?
And Elohim said moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel... I missed
Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh. There's where he just told him. He says, Yahweh. Go ahead and read.
And Elohim said moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh,
Right.
the Elohim of your fathers.
The Elohim of your fathers. My name is Yahweh, and I am the Elohim of your fathers. Read.
The Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Jacob, has sent me unto you. This is my name forever,
And he said, this is my name forever.
and this is my memorial.
But when
unto
you
all
get down to
generations.
where the Jehovah Witnesses come in, I want you to change it and put a J on it and call me Jehovah for a couple hundred years. He said, my name forever. Yahweh is his name forever. Can't change it, can't get by it, can't get past it. Somebody was talking about, it was Christy last weekend talking about breathing, that, people are doing these breathing exercises and yoga and all this stuff. I'm going to breathe. I don't even have to do, because that's what you breathe. Every single one of us breathe his name. Go ahead.
And this is my memorial unto all
And he said,
generations.
this is my memorial unto just a few generations.
All
Just Hebrew generations.
all.
All generations, all the way down to the Gentiles, all the way down to you. That is his name, Yahweh. Okay, real quick, I'm going to do this. So that's what Moses has to do. He has to go down into Egypt and he has to declare the name Yahweh, because that's the name and that's the power that's going to bring him up out of Egypt. It's not going to be by the power of Moses, because he's going to give, let's go to it, go ahead. He's going to give Moses 3 signs because when he gets down there, these children of Israel, see, Yahweh doesn't just leave you without witnesses and evidence. Thank you. Because he's not going to he's going to show you what he means when he says it. Go ahead.
4:1. And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken to my voice, for they will say, Yahweh hath not appeared unto thee. And Yahweh said unto him,
Because you know what? We got gods down here who can do all kinds of stuff and prove who they are. The River Nile floods every year. Whoever the goddess of the River Nile is, Isis, I believe, that floods and fertilizes our land every year. There's obvious evidence of these gods down here. We don't believe this, Yahweh. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto him, What is that in thine hand?
Now, Moses, you've been walking out here for 40 years, and you've had, he went out there when he was 40. So he's been out in the wilderness for 40 years, and he's had a rod with him that he's used to fend off the sheep or the wolves and the snakes, right? And he's walked through the land with this, cane, all right?
And he
With
said,
this
A
staff.
rod.
And he says, it's a rod.
And he cast it on the ground.
And he said, cast it on the ground. Cast that rod on the ground. Read.
And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent.
Now that rod became a serpent in front of Moses.
And Moses fled from before it.
This rod that he's known for 40 years just became a serpent in front of him now. And he flees justifiably, right? Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand.
Now, Moses, put forth your hand. Now, I'm going to see if I can do this because I'm old and I don't bend over well. Cast it on the ground, and he said, and now it's a serpent.
And take it by the tail.
And he said to pick it up by the tail. Now, we used to say that you don't pick up a serpent by the tail because it'll rear back and bite you. But what's in Moses is able to pick that serpent up by the tail. And that serpent, and that's the power of Yahweh, because that serpent is not going to, you really aren't going to reach down and pick the serpent up by the head. You are going to pick it up by the tail. But the tail that you're going to pick up is the T-A-L-E.
Right.
Okay, so he's telling him, pick it up by the tail, right? And when he does, Yahweh's showing himself that I will be what I will to be. I will be the rod. I will be the serpent. And now what happens?
And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand.
And now it becomes a rod in his hand. Because now Yahweh is showing him, I will be what I will to be. I will to be the rod, I will to be the serpent, and I will to be the rod again. Mm-hmm. And he's showing his salvation. That's what he's showing him. Go ahead.
That they may believe that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob hath appeared unto thee. Mm-hmm. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him.
Furthermore, I'm not going to just give you one. I'll give you a couple.
Put now thine hand.
Because Yahweh said out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. So that's what he's going to have to do for Moses. Yahweh is so true and stays on the line, never deviates. You can always pick him up because he's straight on. This, on the other hand, right here, the father of lies, Satan, Lucifer, devil, I will be like the Most High, son of perdition. Right here, he slithers along. He is depicted as that serpent. He is explained to us in Genesis as a serpent because of the characteristics and attributes of that serpent. He's slithering along and he's moving along. It's kind of like we used to compare I-96 with Grand River from Lansing to Detroit. I-96 is a straight shot, but if you take Grand River, you got to go around and over and through all the little towns, and Howell included, Christy. Go ahead.
And he put his hand into his bosom. Oh, put now thine hand
he
into
said,
thy
now put your hand in your bosom.
And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous.
Now he's
as
getting up
snow.
close and personal with Moses. See, Yahweh's going to do that for you. He's going to get up close and personal. Go ahead. So now he puts his hand in his bosom, and when he pulls it out, it's leprous as snow. Dr. Kinley said, and I've said this before, Dr. Kinley said that Moses was not a white man, he was a dark man. That leprosy, and this is how he was explaining it. He said that leprosy on Moses' hand was more noticeable and evident to Moses because he was a dark man and not a white man. Because leprosy is white as snow. Go ahead.
And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again.
And now take that, because this is too close for me. And you can't run from this, can you, Moses? Put it back into your bosom. Read.
And he put his hand back into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
So now you've got, I will be what I will to be. I will to be
leprosy.
The good hand, leprosy, and the good hand. And he'll always bring you home to the good land. Go ahead, read.
And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign.
And then there's, so they've got signs to believe, and Yahweh knows what's going to make them believe. That's what he's saying right there. If they don't hearken unto this one, they'll believe this one. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these 2 signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river.
Now, you're going to take water out of the river, Moses, and you're going to pour it on the dry land. Yep.
Dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land.
And that water's going to turn to blood right in front of their eyes. This is things that they haven't seen happen. These are things that they don't know, but these are things that are going to show Yahweh and his power. Okay?
And Moses said unto Yahweh, O my Elohim, I am not eloquent.
Now here he goes, real quick. Here he goes. I can't do it. I can't go there. I'm not eloquent. I can't speak. I've got a stammer. You know, I've got an excuse. Go ahead.
Neither heretofore,
And so do we. Physical bodies. Go ahead.
nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. And Yahweh said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth?
Yeah, come on. Who made you?
Or who maketh the dumb, or
Right,
deaf,
right.
or the seeing, or the blind?
Right.
Have I not Yahweh? Now,
You
therefore,
can't argue with that. Go ahead.
go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say.
Now, I will teach thee what thou shalt say, because you're going to come down into Egypt. And now see, he's still talking to him back here, right? And he says, I'll talk to you down here. I'll talk to you face to face as a man does with a friend. Because right now, Yahweh's showing him that I'm your friend. Yahshua, go ahead.
And he said, O my Elohim, send, I pray them, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron...
I used to think kindled meant he's backed off. Kindled means he's PO'd. He's like, come on, Moses. Right, and fired up. Get it together, right? Come on, Moses. Read.
And he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother?
Isn't Aaron your brother? Come on, Moses. Get it together. Read.
I know that he can speak well.
Right. And how does he know that? Because he knows that Aaron's got a big mouth. Because Aaron can speak really well. Go ahead.
And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet
And
thee.
I've already sent him. I've already sent Aaron from Egypt to come and meet you as you go back down into Egypt. Go ahead.
And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart.
And they're all going to be happy and glad. And go ahead.
And thou shalt speak unto him and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you what ye shall do.
So he's got it covered. Yahweh's got it covered. You don't have to be the one who's the burden is not on you, really. If you give it over to Yahshua, Yahshua will be your mouth. He will speak the things that he needs to speak. He will be your ears. He will have you hear the things that you need to hear. Yahweh will cover it from top to bottom, backwards and forward. He's all encompassing, and you live, move, and have your being right within Yahweh Elohim anyway. So this cloud right here on this chart, this is the Moses chart that we've been going through. This cloud right here symbolizes that everything is within the cloud, okay? But this also it symbolizes that everything is within Yahweh or eternity. Everything is operating according to a purpose, a pattern, and a plan that Yahweh has set up from the very beginning, and He is doing it. And He is about to bring it to a close as far as this age goes, shortly. And just our little bit of understanding is what's going to be able to get us over, because you know what? When this baby is in the womb, it doesn't breathe air, but it does breathe. It does do the mechanism of breathing. It's taking in that amniotic fluid and it's expelling and it's excreting it, okay? And then it takes it back in. Okay, it's being prepared so that when it comes out of the womb, it's going to take a breath of air. The lungs fully formed, that's what's happening in here with us. This fetus in here, that's what we're doing, we're feeding. This fetus in here, the lungs are developing, and they better be developed when this age comes to a close, because when this baby, parturition, when that happens and that baby comes forth from the womb, it's going to have to take a breath. And it's going to have to be able to function. There's lots of things that are going to happen as that baby comes into the world. There's going to be a hole in the heart that's going to seal up. These are things that are all going to happen because this baby has to be well prepared, this fetus. Therefore, you are the fetus. And this is about to come to a close, and hopefully you are ready because you are about to take a big, giant breath. Yeah. Spirit. With that, I say hallelujah.
Thank you, Dr. Craig. That brings a close to our class for today. I hope everybody enjoyed that and got something out of it. Announcements are as follows. Classes are held every Wednesday and Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Sundays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our after-class question and answer period is the third Friday of each month. The next one will be the 19th of January. Members and ministers, we ask that you come to class, be on time, dress appropriately so that you may be called as speakers. Northside Chicago, Yahshua the Rock, having their annual event April 11th through the 14th of 2024. This is at the Hillside Best Western Hotel. You must call the hotel to reserve a room. The number is 708-544-9300. You must register for the event itself online at googledoc.form. The deadline for registration is March 14th. There is no fee. And if you need to, you can contact them via email at yahshuatherock@gmail.com. The Meridian Soul class in Meridian, Mississippi is having an event this year also. It's in Gulfport, Mississippi. The dates are June 20th through the 23rd of 24. You must go to www.soulfood.org to register for this event. The topic is the first aim. Email address is meridiansoul@gmail.com or IDMR Meridian, Mississippi @gmail.com. Oh yes, there is one other thing too. We have this little QR code. So I think if you can scan this takes you directly to the Google Drive, our Google Drive, where you can access transcripts, books, and other assorted material. All right, that concludes our announcements. Let's rise for the doxology so that we may be dismissed. I will be quoting the last two verses of the book of Jude from the Holy Name Bible. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise Elohim our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah, our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all time and now and ever. Let us all say, Hallelujah.
For his promise, it is salvation. Abraham in his old age received a blessing from Yahweh. He said, Sarah, how can this be? It is the son that Yahweh has promised to me. Oh, 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 oh. Mary and Joseph. Oh, don't you be afraid. For this son is Yahweh's son. He comes healing the sick and raising the dead. Oh, I don't care what they say. I know there's not a friend, anyone like Yahweh. For his promise, it is salvation. Do you know Yahshua? He came to die, yes he did, just to bring salvation to you and I, yes it did. Why don't you trust in your Savior? For he is your only friend. And he'll keep his promise again and again and again and again. Oh, yes he will. I don't care what they say. I know there's not a friend, anyone like Yahweh. For his promise, it is salvation. He'll be your friend. Oh, he'll be your friend. Oh, yes, he will. He'll be your friend. Oh, Lord. Oh, he'll be your friend. I know he will. He'll be your friend. Oh, over and over. They say, I know there's not a friend, anyone like Yahweh. For his promise, it is salvation. I know he'll be your friend. Oh, he'll be your friend. Oh, yes, he'll be your friend.